Welcome back to every naval battle in history. Last episode, the wheels were really starting to come off the Athenian wagon at Eretria in 411 BCE. But while the Athenians fought themselves within their walls, and the Spartans raided the countryside outside the walls, and the Athenian tributary states took to murdering Athenians in their streets, and stopped paying tribute, one laser-like focus remains to Athens. They had to maintain control of the Bosphorus, the sea channel between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, because from the Black Sea came the grain that had fed Athens all the decades cooped up behind their long walls. In 410, the Spartans under Mindarus, buoyed by Persian gold, had built a new fleet of 80 warships, and joined by Persian troops had captured the city of Cyzicus in the Sea of Marmara. As you can see on the map, this is a nicely sheltered position from which to attack passing trade between the two seas. But things were about to go wrong for the Spartans. The brilliant but flawed Alcibiades was back on the Athenian side, having fallen out, in turn, with Athens, Sparta, Persia, and now was returning to the Athenians. You could honestly do a whole YouTube series just on Alcibiades and his life. Heck, you could do an HBO series. In his youth, he was used as an example at Socrates' trial of how the philosopher had corrupted the young men of Athens. Socrates' defence argued that Alcibiades had always been corrupt and that Socrates was trying to return him to moral ways. Socrates may have lost the trial, but the point about the moral corruptness of Alcibiades is thought to have been well made. Joining him in the Sea of Marmara was the wily admiral and victor of the Battle of Arganoosai, episode 17, the Archdemocrat Thracibulus. Rounding out this command is the leader of the oligarchs, who had seized command of Athens in a coup the year before, Theramenes. This is quite the odd trio we have here. Somehow the three of them managed to put aside their differences, and they pulled off a wildly complex plan. Throughout naval history, a stronger force has always had to fool a weaker one into accepting battle. At the Battle of Jutland in World War I, both sides pulled this off on the same day, with the German battlecruisers luring the British scouting fleet into the fire of their main force, only for the retreating British battlecruisers to lure the German fleet into the trap of the British Grand Fleet. At Cyzicus, Alcibiades lured the Spartans out to fight with a small force, before Thracibulus and Theramenes attacked behind the Spartans with a force each. For three men who hated each other, and one of them Alcibiades, the least trustworthy man in the ancient world, this was an astonishing feat of communication, joint command, and cooperation. Desperate times obviously call for desperate measures. The Spartans made for a nearby beach. Persian ground forces joined in. The Athenians rallied their troops on land, and the leaders assisted each other to carry the day. The Spartan navarch died in the action, prompting this message back to Sparta. "The ships are gone. Mindarus is dead. The men are starving, we know not what to do." Sparta lost their entire fleet of 80 ships, the Athenians lost almost nothing. The victory was such a setback that Sparta tried to make peace with Athens, ending the decades-long war. The punch-drunk Athenians refused, possibly because they were busy overthrowing the oligarchy and restoring their democracy. At this point, though, they didn't have the money to press home the advantage this victory had brought them. As with many doomed empires, there were lost victories in the final days. Up next is the Battle of Arganoosai, 406 BCE. Strap in, folks, we've got lots more to cover as we take on every naval battle in history. Smash those like and subscribe buttons, you don't want to get left behind.